stream set up. Listen, come on in, come on in. We talking about that paper chase. Look, we have a lot to talk about. So listen, come on. Hey, listen, we starting with the chase for months because we didn't get our chance break on the last. Hey,
can't just get enough. I know. What's up? I've been on a paper chase for months. I've been on a marathon for months. All in all, I can't just get enough. I know. Girl, step to the money, that's a lay. Take advantage of my time to get a payday. I've been to myself, I've been out the way. If I'm not with the kids, me and Tay Tay. Spin a bag, get a bag, that's a routine. I go north, cross the border like some poutine. Growing up, I had hoop dreams, still be on the hoop scene. But I turn dreams of boob dreams.
Today we are talking
Still
about a topic.
Who got famous.
Listen, welcome. So we got Sahara in the house. Jessica's coming in. We starting off with our dance break. Hey, listen. We were here earlier, and we were talking about the conversation with the ex-con. This song is short, so if you're coming in, just get up and start dancing. Hey, all right, listen. We're talking about a conversation I had yesterday, and we're breaking it down piece by piece. So, chop that wood. Chop that wood. Chop. Then, hey.
What's up?
Hey.
I've been on
Listen. All right. Hey. Come on, KY. Get up out your seat and dance a little. All right. All right. Oh, that was good. That was good. You probably came in on the tail end of that. Listen, I had to eat. After I got off of my last appointment, I had to eat because I realized I hadn't had breakfast. So I had to eat, so I know I'm a little bit late, but we're here now. I apologize, Emmy. You look lawless. Somebody who's lawless doesn't believe in the rules anyway. So we're gonna get into it. I wanted to give you all a few moments to come on in. I had to eat, and I have some rice steaming, and I need to go turn off my pot in 6 minutes and 11 seconds because it's a 25-minute steam, and I need to turn off the pot in 6 minutes. So let's talk for 6 minutes. I'm gonna turn off the pot, and when we come back, we're gonna go live on all channels. So I appreciate you all so much, so much. Right now we are only live on YouTube. We're gonna go live on all of the platforms, and we're going to be finishing up this conversation about the ex-con that I spoke to yesterday. There was a series of questions that I asked him for over an hour, right? While I was waiting in the passport office, he graciously answered my questions from the best of his ability. One of the things that I've learned, hey Crystal, good morning. One of the things that I've learned is that we all have ego. My ego is my own, yours is yours, and the ego is basically your internal sense of self, that human sense of self, where those boundaries are and how it shows up. Is our ego inflated so that we're megalomaniacs and we think that we're on top of the world and better than other people? Is our ego deflated and we don't have the esteem that we need to stand up for ourselves, to go for our dreams? So ego is a necessary part of the self. And what we're working on is making sure that we have healthy sense of egos. When we're talking with people, we don't know how much ego work they've done. We don't know whether or not they've separated themselves from their ego, their sense of self, and have a healthy relationship and are able to see, oh, this is ego speaking up right here, right? So Pink is saying, I appreciate the call-in show and the chance to ask questions. Learning to ask the right questions and what to look for important when dealing with others. Yes, And that is exactly why we did that call-in show. And I'm glad that we had the chance to get those questions. Lawless is saying just a name. Mama had this name since I was 16. Okay. I mean, I'm only reading the screen name. I don't know the history behind that. I don't know. Edna's in the building. Have you heard about the two women unalive while visiting their husbands on conjugal? The two of them? Oh, this is some deadly dick. Edna, I heard about one woman, she's 62, and I saw some videos of her earlier today. I want to report on that, and this is a timely topic. Oh my gosh, this is such a timely topic. So if you could send me some news report or something, a video that's breaking it down with factual information, something that's like 6 minutes, something that's not too long and not too short. So I really want to get most of the details that I would need. So if you could send that to me at tonyatko.com/contact, that would be great. That way I can learn and understand. Let me check my time. We have 3 minutes left. Let me do this. Hey, Dari, let me go turn off the pot right now and then come back and then we'll go live on all platforms. All right. So let me go here and we'll be back in, just give me like 60 seconds to just go turn off the pot and then I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Let me just get my, okay, perfect. And we are back. Wonderful. I need somebody to send me an apple so I could get this Meta thing off of my screen, because I don't want Meta getting any publication on my thing. All right, so look, let us go ahead and get live on every platform because I'm going to give you all the whole story in this video. So I hope you all are doing well. Thank you, Edna. I appreciate that. Yes, Shantea, we are back. All right. Let us go ahead and get live. All right. Let me make sure okay. We are live. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Twitch. We can no longer broadcast live on TikTok. So we're here on 3 channels, and this is how it is. We have 26 minutes until our dance break. So let's go ahead and let me tell you all the full story. Actually, let me tell you what we're doing here because I told the people on YouTube, but let me just say it again for everybody. Let me turn off my rice alarm, actually. All right, perfect. I'm your host, Tonya TKO. I'm a self-love specialist from tonyatko.com. I'm a life coach from an accredited program. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm currently a master's student of psychology at an Ivy League institution. Why do I say all of this? There's a certain set of training that I have in asking questions, in listening to determine how best to help people. And when you all are out there asking questions, I want you all to be able to take from the example of today, because we're out there, we're meeting men and women every single day, and there are questions that are left unanswered. We did a call-in show before this one about an hour and a half ago. Maybe about 2 hours ago, we did a call-in show. And in the call-in show, we were talking about an encounter that I had yesterday. I decided to apply for an emergency passport. And when you apply for an emergency because my spring break just passed, and I wanted to go to Iceland to go to some spas and all of this, but my passport was expired. If you all remember, I went on a trip around Central and South America in 2015. And you all remember I had to renew my passport. Well, that was 10 years ago. I can't believe the time has flown that quickly. Remember when I went to Guatemala and they robbed me? Well, that was 10 years ago. I can't believe we've been on and in this journey for so long. Remember when I was in Casa Jate and it was a scary situation and I had to broadcast live so that you all could keep me safe, and the guy who was in that house was loco. He had me locked in with the gate at in the apartment. It was craziness. It was crazy, and he had cameras set up. It was weird, wild, and terrible. I did not take off my clothes in that place, so I was not able to bathe. It was crazy. But nonetheless, questions. Thank you, Edna. I appreciate that. After I get off of this broadcast, I'm going to check those because today we're talking about an ex-convict I had a conversation with yesterday at the passport office. And while I was waiting for my passport to be done, there was a lot that took place. So I'm going to tell you all this whole story. We were live and we were asking, I had you all call in and ask questions so that I could give you all the story. And there were questions that you all just didn't ask. And I was like, oh, I realized that there's still so much of a gap between where we are and where we want to be. Edna, you've been here that long? Yeah, that was 10 years ago. Can you believe that? So I applied for an emergency passport. When you apply for an emergency passport, you go to the office, and if you're flying within a certain amount of time, you will be able to get your passport the same day, but you have to wait in that area, in the office or in the area, because they're going to take your information, then you have to come back in the afternoon. Okay? So let me tell you all the whole story. All right. I set up my appointment for 7:30 in the morning because I want to get in and I want to get out. I know that one of the advantages that I have is that I'm a morning person. So if I need to be there at 5 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m., it doesn't matter. I can get up and be fully busting and ready to go, right? So I set my appointment for 7:30 in the morning, and I got down there to Lower Manhattan, and there was this long security, like metal fence, like bars. So I was walking and I saw someone come around the corner, and he was walking and he was able to go right in, but I had to walk around this long barrier. And so I was laughing with him like, oh my goodness, this guy had on a, like the 8-ball jackets from back in the days, the leather 8-ball jackets. He had like on a leather jacket that had this insignia and this stuff on the back of which I'm affiliated. So I asked him about that because he was standing in line in front of me. And so I see this big jacket in front of me. So I asked him about it. And he's like, oh no, this is just the design. He's like, I'm not affiliated with that. That's just the style of the jacket, So I was like, okay, cool. So he was in front of me. He went to speak to the lady to show him the appointment so that he could go right in. It was a long hold up because the lady couldn't find his appointment. It was all of this stuff was going on. The whole line was being held up. She was going to the back. She was not on the paper, so she had to get a tablet. So she left the station, got the tablet, came into the tablet, didn't see it in the tablet. And so she said, okay, ma'am, let me take your information. And then so all of this is relevant because I want you all to see and hear what it is that I saw and heard, right? So she said, let me see yours. She saw mine. I was on the list. She sent me right through. I went through. I got in. I went upstairs, got my number, presented my documents. They clipped it all together, told me to take this number, go to another room, blah, blah, blah. I didn't see him again until after the appointments were actually, I did see him in the room, the second room, right? I had my stuff on the chair. And when he saw me, he came over and he sat right next to my stuff. So I was like, well, let me pick up my stuff and take it with me to the window because I was getting ready to go to the window because my number had been called. Okay. So he was telling me, oh, they couldn't find my appointment in the system. They said my appointment was canceled, but the lady saw that I had, the email. So she knew that I did have an appointment. She couldn't tell me how it was canceled, but she was like, okay, after a while, she just went ahead and told me I could come on in since I had an appointment and she doesn't know why it was canceled. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went and I did my stuff. And then after that, you have to go wait until the appointment time. So I had a book with me and I had food with me, but you couldn't eat in the building. So I had to be very clever about how I was going to eat all of that, right? I saw him. He has beard, not trimmed on the neck, and, a hair situation where it wasn't shaped up and all that other stuff. It was just hair, right? Okay. He said, oh, I'm going to go out and see if I could get some breakfast. I'm going to see if I could get a bagel or something from around here because, it's a long wait, blah, blah, blah. I was waiting for the library to open because it was so early in the morning. The library wasn't open, but there was a library in the area. I'm reading my book. I'm like, let me wait for the library. I'm going to walk to the library, finish reading my book over there, and then come back. But I got to talking to this Marine who was getting ready to deploy. He was a young guy, and he was, and I saw the difference between the two. The Marine was articulate, and he had a trimmed up facial hair, trimmed hair. You could see his strength, right? The other dude, he had a type of strength that was like, it was like this type of strength, right? The Marine had this type of strength and the other guy had this type of strength, right? Like this, that type of strength. If you could see me, I'm like this, okay? So the Marine was like this, the other guy was like this, right? Okay. So time kept passing. So much so that the pickup area closed and then we had to go into a main room, right? Once I went into the main room, I saw this guy again. I decided not to go to the library. I got into a good conversation with this Marine guy. Then I was reading my book. I took a nap. It was wonderful. It was a nice day. I got up and, because, my watch tells me to get up every hour. So I was getting up, walking around. I came into contact with a Karen who tried to aggress me. She tried to aggress me with her aggressive energy. And I just continued to look down at my book and ignored her. I walked around and she kept saying something to me. And I just kept my head in my book because what I saw in my vision was I saw myself dragging this woman across the ground and international police jumping on me. And now I've been arrested in a government building. So I said, nope, I'm not even going to engage with her. I kept my head in my book. It was a nice day. Once we got into the big area, once the smaller area closed and we got into the big area, the dude saw me, the dude with the jacket and so he saw me and he comes over because I'm like, I saw a table. I was one of the first people to go into the room. There was a table, there was some chairs. So I decided to sit down and just read my book. Listen, Shantia, stop. You giving away spoilers. So then so then we're in this main room and we got some time to kill. And he's there talking to me, so I'm not going to be able to read my book. So I said, let me go ahead and engage with this guy. The guy told me that he had gone out to get something to eat. He went and he got a muffin and he wanted to get some juice, but the juice wasn't going to clear on his debit card, so he just had to get the muffin. He said, I got a business and I do XYZ type of, I have like let's say it's like a lawn care service, right? So it's like a service industry kind of service that is done B2B, right? So he's like, I gotta wait for some of these corporate checks to clear, and because my account, and I'm like, you playing it pretty close if you you playing it pretty close if juice is not gonna clear. I'm like, man, what you doing, right? I'm like, you have a business, but juice? right? He was like, yeah, it's one of them places that sell, like the juice, because I make I make myself my own smoothies every day. This was fresh juice, and they were saying it's gonna be $19 for the fresh juice. So, the fresh juice that wasn't gonna clear, because and I had a big juice before I left the house, because I drink my juice. I drink a green smoothie every day. So I was like, all right, you know what? Here, this is what I'll do. Here. 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 This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. All right. This is what I'm gonna do. So, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So, yeah. So this is him. This is him. Yeah, so I drink a green smoothie every morning. I can't. I need to control myself. So he's like, yes. So he's like, please, I can't. You're coughing. He's like, yeah, I drink a green smoothie every morning. So, so I was like, because before I came here, I knew I was good. So, because I was telling him, I was like, the muffin, that's not really many nutrients, right? He was like, yeah, so I drink a green smoothie every morning, and before I came here, I knew I was gonna be down here for a long time. So I made up my smoothie before I even left. So when I saw that and I was like, it's $19, I was like, I don't really need that because I already had it before I left home. Because you see, I got a business and everything. I got a business. So my business, I do B2B lawn care, or, so that's what I do. And I'm just waiting for some of these checks to clear, because once the checks come in, then, then I'll be able to settle up and be able to do all the stuff that I need to do for my business. Because, I'm an entrepreneur, right? All right. So I'm like, well, so we get to talking, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's cool. And then so he tells me, he's like, he sees my book and he's like, yeah, so he's like, yeah, so I like to read too, I read a lot. So, I really like to read. I read a lot of books, so what I'm saying? He was like, yeah. So before I came here, I worked out because, I have a routine where I work out. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I did my workout before I got down here, and I have my green smoothie already. So, cause look, now, I'm in the process of building my business, because I used to have a lot of money before. But you see, look, I just got home. I just got home like a year ago. So, because I'm already in that routine. I got home from, I was locked up. So I say, okay, so how long were you locked up? Yeah, I was in there for 5 years. I was in there for 5 years. And I was like, oh, what were you doing? He was like, slinging. I was in that fast life. I was in that fast life, selling, slinging, all of that. But I had money, this, that, and the other. But when I got in, I changed my whole mentals, you see, because I read and I read a lot. So when I was in there, I was reading like a book a day. I was working out. I was this. So I said, okay, describe your daily routine to me. So he was like, I asked him a lot of questions. So I was like, describe your daily routine. So I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? I would wake up at like 5:30 in the morning. And I asked, well, what time did they open I was like, he was like, yeah, I was in a cell with one person. They opened up the gate. So it was closed at night, but they would open it up at 7:30 in the morning for us to go get chow. So we would go in, we would get chow, and then after that, we would have free time to ourselves. So after that, I would watch some TV, I would catch up on the news, and then I would work out. So I was doing calisthenics, pull-ups, push-ups, dips. I was doing all of that. They didn't have weights at my gym, right? I'm just giving you the story, right? They didn't have weights at my gym, but some places they do have weights. It depends on the facility you in, but I was in a facility that was an XYZ place and they didn't have that there, right? So after I would work out, then we'd have to get ready to go to lunch, right? And so we would go into the lunch, and then afterwards we had to go back into our cells so they could do the count and change the shifts. Then they would open the cells, we would come out, we would have our lunch or whatever, right? And then after that we would go out into the yard, and then I would work out again. So they didn't have exercise equipment and all that stuff out in the yard, but I could just do push-ups. Right? Then after that, I had class. So I was taking classes while I was in there. So I would go to class and then, right? Listen, don't laugh at my bed. Don't laugh at my bed, right? So then we would go to class. I would go to class and I would learn, and so I was taking school in there. So I was like, I was taking care of my mind while I was in there. So after class, we would sometimes have like a group session, where we would all get together and we would talk, and we would have a session where we would talk about how we felt and, the stuff we was going through. And, some people, they didn't talk, but I used that time to talk about where I was, what I was going through, what I was feeling. And then they will also give us parenting classes so that we could learn things from our child's point of view. Because see, I have a son. So I'm trying to get back out for my son. So I'm trying to do everything that I need to do so that I could be the right person for him when I come out, right? Okay. So then he says after going to the classes, the school and the therapy, then he would have time to himself. It would be time for dinner. So then he would go to dinner. I'll go to dinner, and then after dinner, then I would go back to my cell. I would read for a few hours, and then so I would read 3 or 4 hours every day. I was going through books a week, right? I would go back, I'll pray, and then at 11 it's lights out, and then the next day it would start all over again. And he did say that during that time he would also get on phone calls and talk with people for like an hour, 2 hours, just talking to family, my sister, my girl, this, that, and the other, right? Okay. So then I'm like, so I'm like, okay. So tell me what dating was like when you were in there, right? And he says that he was with this girl, and that the girl left him after like a year. Like the first 6 months, she was rocking with him. Everything was good. She was coming to visit him. She was going to his court dates. And that was a few years, right? And I was like, wait a minute, you didn't get bonded out? And he's like, no, in my state, there is no bond. I'm going to Google that. Because I didn't know that there were states where you could not get any bond. Let me just Google it. Okay. Okay, so this says here, in New Jersey, it says, in New Jersey, while cash bail has been largely eliminated, a system of risk assessment is used to determine pretrial detention or release, with judges considering factors like community safety and the defendant's risk of flight or reoffense. Bail reform. New Jersey implemented bail reform in 2017, aiming to reduce the number of people held in jail solely due to their inability to afford bail. So they got rid of bail in 2017. This is 2025. He says that this was, wait, why somebody saying I'm surprised she lasted a year, right? So, but this was pre-trial. He was like, she was going to the court hearing, she was showing up, she was visiting him, she was doing all of that for 6 months. He says while he was in there, he was working out. He was reading. He was bettering his mind. He found religion. He was changing into the man that he felt that she deserved to be with, the stuff that she said she had always wanted, right? So, so I asked him what happened after the first 6 months. So after the first 6 months, she started pulling back and things started to change. She started kind of acting a little funny. She started getting loud with him. She started trying to demean him and put him in his place. This is according to him. Now, one of the things that we have to remember is just because somebody says something is so, doesn't mean it's really so, right? So let's ask some questions, right? So let's ask some questions about their relationship, right? Here we go. Let's ask some questions about their relationship. All right. So let's ask some questions about the relationship. So now when I was out, I was living that fast life. And I didn't want to commit. I wasn't thinking about settling down because I was just out there just trying to get my money, just trying to get my paper. That's all I was about. You know what I mean? I was running with the fast crowd. I was doing all of this. And, I was paying people and everybody liked to get the money. But, they wasn't around when stuff really hit the fan. So she was somebody that I knew. I knew her for about 2 years before I got locked up. Her and my sister is really close. This not my real sister, but this, we like brother and sister. We real close. So I just call her my sister. But her and my sister is real close. They like the best of friends. So I knew her from around the way, and we met about 2 years before I went in, right? And I asked him how many times, I asked if they were intimate because he said he didn't want to commit to her. So I asked how long he knew her and whether or not they were intimate. So he says, we messed around a couple of times, a couple is 2. So I said, you had intercourse with her 2 times over 2 years? And he was like, yeah, about that. Yeah, about that. And he was like, I always used to call her Michelle Obama. You know what I mean? Because she talked real proper. She from an educated background. Her family got connections in this particular area that is very well known. She got connections. Her father is in this area. Her mother does XYZ. So, she come from that type of family. And so, she was with me when I had money. Because when I was doing that thing, selling that stuff, I had money. I had a nice car. And so, she was with me. But he didn't want to commit to her. He wasn't interested in settling down. Then he got put inside, right? Then he got put inside. Oh my goodness. We danced on our way in, but you know what? Let's get up and do a little something right now. We'll come back to the story in a second, right? You all are terrible. All right, let's go ahead and so let's 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 get up and let's move. Right, let's see what we have here. All right, get up out your seat, everybody. Listen, we're gonna do our dance. All right. If you move for that movement break, you got in 2 minutes of movement. Woo. All right. That was fun. That was fun. Let's start the timer again. All right. Somebody wants a crochet wig. Lord have mercy. All right. So, I did ask him, right? So, you know what? We'll get into that later because I asked him a lot of questions, right? I asked him a lot of questions while we were there, right? Whew. Okay. So, exclusively elusive, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Whew. All right. This is the most ridiculous thing, right? I can't with this anymore. All right. So let's get into the rest of the story. Let's get into the rest of the story, right? So let me see. I should have taken notes so I would know what I told you versus what I did not tell you so far. So I want to go in order because these were the things as they were developing, right? So he said that he all right. So he said, oh, let me check the apples. It's $ Tonya TKO is right on the screen. If you need to do the QR code, if you need to send a question in or comment or whatever, you can do that through Cash App and I will be able to see it. Okay. Shantae was twerking. Lord have mercy. That is so funny. All right, so let's go back to the story, okay? So all right. Okay. Okay. All right. So she comes from a good family. He would call her Michelle Obama and be like, she just had that poise. She had this demeanor about her. She was well educated. She graduated. She was in this profession that was kind of like she was in this profession that was like, let's say she was an engineer, right? She was in a profession where she was like an engineer, right? This is what I found out later in the conversation, because he was like, yeah, after about 6 months, she started getting funny, started pulling back. I asked my sister what was going on with her. My sister said that she was dating a guy. So I was talking to her, like trying to find out, what's going on. I was trying to keep her in the relationship, et cetera, et cetera. I did ask him later on. I said, while you were out and you were seeing this girl and you had no commitment with her, right? Like you all were seeing each other on and off. I mean, like there was no commitment. There was nothing official. You only had intercourse about 2 times over 2 years. So there was nothing official. And she stood by you for the first 6 months. She was putting money on your books and all of that. I said, because I had to explain to him, oh, you know what? I'll get to that later, please, because I don't want to give this away just now, right? Freeman, you missed a lot now at this point. We're on our second leg, because we did the first leg, which is 35 minutes. We're on the second leg right now that started about 4 minutes ago, right? All right. So his sister... So he was trying to convince the girl to stay in the relationship with him. He was like, I'm changing. A relationship is, I gotta do this because you gotta hear this. You gotta hear this. You gotta hear this. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So listen, a relationship is about 10% sexual, 90% mental. So we had the mental part, because we was talking every day. Like we was on the phone for hours every day. So she knew me. I knew her, because you could talk to a person in real life for years and never know as much as we knew about each other, because all we did was talk. See? All we did was talk. So she got to know me up here and I got to know her up there. So I was changing and I was showing her. I was making the steps to be a better person. I was making the steps to be a better man. That's what I was doing. I was showing her through my actions. I was going to my classes. I was getting my knowledge of self. I was doing my personal development. That's what I was doing, right? And so what wasn't she satisfied about? Because we had the 90% part. We had that part. But she she liked that money. When I was giving her money, when I had money, she liked that lifestyle. But now that I'm in here, now she said that she need a man who got money. So she started dating this man with all this money, and they live together now, right? They live together. My sister went to her and she said to her, look, you invested all of this in that man. He a good man, Savannah. He a good man. The dust. So he a good man. And my sister told her, look, some other woman is going to come in there and snatch him up, because you don't want to see that happen, because you invested all of this in him, all of these years, all this time you invested, and he's making the changes, he's doing what he needs to do, and now when he's just about to become that man, you gonna leave him? Nah, sis, you don't want that to happen. And you leaving him over what? Somebody who got some money? And so I was calling my sister, and I was calling the people all around to find out what was going on. And yeah, she was with this guy. People were seeing her on Instagram, on vacations and all of that, right? People were seeing her on Instagram and on vacation and all of that, right? And so I saw her. I heard that she was out there taking all these pictures, on vacation, having a good time. And then she ain't hold me down. I thought she was gonna, I would have never thought somebody like her. Cause she was the whole package. She helped, I would have thought she would have held me down. I thought she would have held me down. Like, if there was anybody I could have bet on, it was her. So when she left me, that was devastating for me, like, because I never would have thought she would have did that. I'll never. And then over somebody who just for money, right? Over just some money. Chrissy, Chrissy, Chrissy. Listen, over somebody who just got some money. So yeah, so I was devastated. It hurt. I gotta be honest. I was wilding out in there. I gotta be honest. I was, because I didn't understand it, because what was she missing? If we had the 90% mental, what was she missing? Because the physical is only 10%. You know what I'm saying? So the mental, right? So when I came out, I called her and I said, wait, before I got out, my sister was like telling her, he a good man. If you stick by him, when he get out, then you could have all of that, right? And she said she was just going to take her chances. She said she was just going to take her chances with the man who had money, right? So I was like, wasn't nothing that I could do. When I got out, I called her. And she didn't answer the phone. My sister told her that I was in the house, right? So she left her man, because they live together now. So she left her man and she came all the way over to visit me when I was at my sister's house. And she brought me an envelope that had, a few $100s in it. And she wrote me a card, and the card was like, kind of like, wishing me, wishing me a good life, right? And so she went and she did, she left, because her man was blowing up her phone because he knew she was over there checking for me. So her man kept blowing up her phone because she ran to come see me. That's what she did. She ran to come see me, right? So then after all of that, I was like, you know what? Let's meet up. We owe that to each other, because we really didn't have no closure. So I was like, let's have some dinner, some lunch. Let's meet up, grab a bite or something. I sent her this message and she ain't respond back. And I was like, oh, wow. So that was it. She never saw me again, right? She never saw me again. So I was just out, I was staying with family. I was this, that and the other. And then I heard her man beat her up. He beat her up real bad. And I ain't laughing at her. I ain't wish no harm on her. I actually feel real bad for her. But he beat her up real bad. Like, she had to go to the hospital and everything. And you see, if she had waited for me, that would have never happened to her. So that's the story. I asked him a few questions after that. And some of the questions were, well, when you were out, if you had met a girl that you felt was prettier than her, had a nicer body than her, was nicer to you than her, would you have left her alone and dated the other girl? And he was like, yeah, I would have, right? And I told him, I said, listen, did you know that the vast majority of women who are locked up on charges that have to do with a man? The vast majority of women who are locked up on charges because I'm just only speaking about in Rikers Island. I had a friend that worked in Rikers Island, and most of the girls that were doing their bid, they were holding, carrying, smuggling stuff for a man. And I'm like, and what do you think happened with those men once the women got locked up? Do you think those men were there with them during their bid? Do you think that they were there with them? I'm like, no. The data shows that when a woman is unwell, when she's been diagnosed with a terminal illness or even a disease that's going to require a lot of maintenance, that she is 6 times more likely to be left than the other way around. That when far too many men hear, oh, she's going to need maintenance, require this, that, and the other, they are done. They are done. So I was like, you thought that she was going to do your bid with you when, if it was the other way around, when you were out, you didn't commit to her. And if you found somebody that you thought was better, you would not even been with her. You would have left her, right? And so now this is his situation. His situation is he's out now. He was out for about 6 to 9 months when he met the girl that he's currently with. Him and the girl that he's currently with, they live together. But he says he didn't need anybody to take care of him. He says that he had some money in the bank that he had left over. So when he came out, he was able to make the moves that he needed to make. Because I told him, I said, you did need someone to take care of you because when you came out, you didn't have a job. And he was like, no, I didn't need nobody to take care of me. I said, when you came out, you already had a job? I was like, you had a job lined up when you were out, or did you need time to find a job or make a business? And he was like, no, I had some money already put aside. But then also remember, juice would not clear on his debit card, right? Oh gosh, Shantea said they would have another woman in their beds before the cell doors closed. So let me think about what else I asked him. So he also said that, so this is another thing that I spoke to him about. I said, she has a right. I'm like, the physical part is more than just 10%. I'm like, if you want to be in the presence of your sweetheart, if you want to go to the movies with them or go grocery shopping with them, or even just go to the laundromat, the day-to-day things, like, it's okay that she wanted somebody there with her. And he was like, yeah, but look at how it turned out. If she had stayed with me, I was like, you were unavailable. You were incarcerated. And the only reason that you were willing to center and focus her is because you had nobody else. Because you didn't set up, the foundations to have anybody else, because you didn't commit to anybody. But then once you were locked in and you didn't have any other options, then all of a sudden you focused on her. But if it had been the other way around, the data shows that you were less likely to even stay around. But you see, the issue is that they feel owed your loyalty. They feel owed your allegiance. They feel owed your body, your time, you're holding them down. When, like Shantea said, before the cell doors even closed, there would have been another woman laid up with him. Before you even heard that click clank, you would have heard that shank of the panties coming down on another woman. But once he got locked up and was unable to date and run the street and run around, then he only had one person that was there. And this was one of the questions that I asked him. I asked him what it is that she did for a living. And he told me that she had a very professional career, like high level executive. So she has her own money. So I said, well, what is the matter with a woman who has money wanting a man who also has money? And he's like, yeah, but look at how it turned out. And I told him that that was his ego, that there was a part of him that felt that he's not a woman beater. So, but if she would have stayed with him, and I'm like, but you got to take chances in this life. It's like there's this part of you that is silently kind of like, yeah, that's what she gets for not waiting for me. I said you were in there for 5 years plus the whole time of the trial. I didn't get a chance to ask, because at this time, because I was going to ask him what age he was when he went in, because I'm getting the sense that the trial was about 5 years, like, because there's no bond. So he was in there for anywhere between 3 and 5 years before his sentence. So that part I'm a little unclear on. So this is anything that lasted, let's say 8 years, right? So 3 years of trial, 5 years of the sentence. Let's say it's 8 years, but I really think it was about 10, because the way that he's sounding, he's 47 now, but it sounds like he was in his 30s or something when he went in. That's what it sounds like. Let me think for a second. I'm trying to figure out, because there were two different people that I spoke to and that I asked a lot of questions of, the Marine and him. So then he and I, as we got to talking, the conversation got a little contentious towards the end, because he started telling me, because I was telling him that he lucked out. And he was like, I don't believe in luck. I believe in blessing. Because I believe that he lucked out, because now he lives with the new woman that he met. Remember, juice wasn't going to clear on his debit card, right? So he lives with the new woman. He claims he had money put aside, but in present day application, how much money does he really have if juice can't clear? Like, if you don't have $20 that can clear your bank account, you're not doing well. You don't have great planning. There's something else that's going awry. You're almost 50 years old. Like, for real. So nonetheless, well, you know what? So yeah, so we really don't know, and there's no way to get back in touch with the guy, because I left him where he was, right? So then we started talking about blessings, and I said I don't believe in blessings, and he's like, and I'm like, I was like, that's a conversation for another day, and he was like, no, I need to hear this right now. And I was like, I'm spiritual non-religious. I was like, I'm spiritual non-religious. And I spoke to him and I said, why do you think that in these Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, why do you think that there's one male God figure with no equal female God? There's no balance. There's no female mother, no wife, no daughter, no aunts, no female cousins, nothing. There's just one male God, right? I said, why do you think that is? He says, I really don't know why that is. So I asked him, I said, why do you think it is that they use a picture of a white Jesus? Why do you think when they decided to create a picture of Jesus, why do you think they used the picture of a white Jesus? And he says, so that we could think of the white man as God and superior and this, that, and the other. And I said, well, let me ask you again. Why do you think when they came up with these religions that they came up with a male God with no female counterpart? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, let me ask you the second question again. Why do you think they had a white Jesus? And I'm like, now I'm going to ask you again, why do you think that there's no female counterpart? And he couldn't answer. Well, he wouldn't answer. So then I said, if human is formed in the womb of woman, if life is created in the womb of woman, and if life comes out of her being, then who is that child most likely to think is God? Who do you think that child is most likely to think is God? Who do you think that the child would look at as the originator of life? And he says to me, men create life. You hold life. Men create it, but woman holds it. Right? And then I said to him, listen, there really is no way simply to argue with a person who thinks that life is started, because there are people out there who are of the belief that when the semen hits the egg, that is the creation of life. There's some people who believe that. But in order to get into a larger discussion, so you all are going to have to do your research on exactly what and how we came to even want or need male semen. That women, if you look into parthenogenesis, that there's a way that beings reproduce within themselves, right? They reproduce within themselves. It's called parthenogenesis. The female egg is larger, bigger, and has more matter than the sperm. And it is said that women created men to just add some additional genes, right? But these men, these people have taken it to run with saying that men are the ones who create life. So I just left that alone. And I said, how do you think it is that men came to think that they are the leaders when if you look at the typical household, it's the woman who is leading, running, and handling all of the business of the house, the family, the people inside the family, that she's doing all of this work, yet the man is the one that's saying that he's leading. What exactly is he leading, right? I didn't want to bring up to him that he had spent time in jail, that the person that he was dating was not in jail, but he, and according to his leadership and decisions, landed him in prison. But I didn't want to say that to him because I had already had my passport at this time, and it was time for me to kind of get to step in. And I said to him, right, that men are the ones who are naturally submissive. I said, when data is shown about the types of interactions that men have in groups, that the men will compete to see who is the dominant one of the group. He's the one who does most of the talking, and then there's a hierarchy that's created. When you look at little girls playing, you see cooperation. You see them, mama's in the treetop cooking rice, papa's in the stairs shooting dice. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to see the robin go tweet, 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 rockin' robin, tweet, tweedly. Girls cooperate. They're jumping double dutch. There's one person on this side, another person on that side, and they have to be in unison. And then there's another person that comes in and she jumps in the middle. With the cooperation of the two people on the end, she has to get into sync with their beat. So like if you think about a group of witches is called a coven. There's no leader in a group of witches, because when women come together, it's collaborative. Men are the ones who are naturally submissive. He started trying to tell me about how submission just means this, that, and the other, that women, and I said, women are not naturally submissive, men are naturally submissive, and that we have been fooled with this flim flam. And it was on that note that I dapped him and I left. That was the end of the conversation. I think I said most of what it is that I learned. I am going to open up the phone lines so that you all can discuss this, anything that you want to discuss with me about this story. Okay? So here we go. Phone lines are open. You can talk to me about any part of what it is that we talked about. The green vegan sends through 444 and says love and peace. Thank you so much, darling. I appreciate that. So the phone lines are open. I would love to hear what it is that you think about what it is that we have spoken about all today. So now that you have all of the information, I'd love to hear your opinion about what it is that you've heard. I'd love to hear your opinion, your take, all of that. We have 250 people on YouTube. We have 30 people on Facebook. And we have one person on Twitch. Hey, Twitchy, right? So I'm curious as to why he's still talking about this woman, even though he has a woman now. And the feeling, the energetic feeling that I got from him is that he wanted to see if I was an option. But I talked circles around him by the time we got to the end, right? I talked circles around him, and then he started telling me that he was with someone. I talked that man around in circles, and then he started revealing that he was with someone. All right, phone is. Let's grab this first call. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Cameron calling from Baltimore. How you doing, big
Hey,
sister TKO?
hey, we got Cameron on the line. All right, Cameron, talk to us from Baltimore.
I think he tripping. He expecting too much. You cannot go to jail as a man, woman, or whatever and expect loyalty or love from anybody outside of your mother. Your father is gonna hold you accountable, and like my father said, he'd give me one chance if I ever went to jail. My mother said she wouldn't, but I know as a woman she's gonna be there because moms love unconditionally and fathers love with the intent of you learning from your mistakes, and you're not gonna learn if he's always there to wipe your behind. And what I'm saying is anybody past your mother, you count your blessings and you thank God you got them in your corner. But as a man or woman, you should never expect somebody to stand there and wait for you to come home from jail,
But why?
especially if you're making stupid decisions.
Why do you think he expected that though?
Because he's a fool and an idiot. And a lot of street dudes always want a woman to ride or die or stand by them through their crap while they run around and hit the streets and do what they please. And then when they go to jail, they got somebody there that they hope to take care of them when they can't take care of themselves.
Okay, are you a fool?
No, I've never been to jail.
Right. But you feel that your mother would have been there for you.
Yeah, because that's my mother, and I believe mothers, because you're your mother's child, she loves you unconditionally, so she will be there for you as long as you don't burn that bridge.
So let's talk
What?
about it because listen, cause so Cameron, one of the things that we talked about is that we have a different like the way that we see things, like sometimes we can't really see ourselves, right? You have
Mm.
two parents and both of your parents said they was not your father said you got one chance. Your mother said she wasn't going to be there for you. But in your mind, you feel that your mother was that whatever it is that something unconditional was going to kick in and that she was going to be there for you, right?
Because that's my mother. Yeah, because that's my mother. She knows that if she needs me, I would take care of her, no problem. Whereas my father's, the point of my father doing that is that if I'm making a mistake over and over and I'm going back to jail and going back to jail, if you see a lot of those dudes, most of them don't have fathers, and most of them don't learn the lesson because there's always somebody willing to nurture them, hold their hand, and allow them to come live on their couch as soon as they get out. Whereas a man would want his son to learn from his mistakes so he doesn't keep repeating the same mistake over and over again.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. You have two parents, a mother and a father, but you're not hearing
Hmm.
what I'm saying. What is it that makes you feel that your mother would have been there even though she said that she would not?
That's my mother talking. I think my mother was more so she does it because I guess because she never wanted me to go to jail, and so I
Listen to
never lived
me.
that lifestyle for her.
I need you to really dig deep here. What evidence do you have that your mother would have been there? She said with her own mouth of sound mind and body that she would not be there. What is it that made you feel that she would?
I don't think well, I'm just going off my thoughts, but I never wanted to test it because I didn't want to know,
Okay.
and I
So
can't spend a
listen,
day in jail.
so
But I don't know.
let's pause right there. The same thing inside of you that made you feel that your mother was going to be there is the same thing that exists in many men who see woman as what did you call it? The unconditional giver, that there are no
Uh-huh.
conditions on what it is that she gives. And these two things are tethered together because there are two people in the situation that created you, but you didn't have that expectation of your father because there's something along the lines that something showed you that when he said it, he meant business. But when your mother said it, you're like, oh, that's cap. That's cap.
And the reason why that is because whenever a man fucks up or a man does something, excuse my language, but whenever a man does something wrong, you can always tell that when a woman loves her that she will make a mistake. She says she will not forgive him if he does this, and it's always the thing that women do. It's they always go back on their words, no matter what a man does or no matter what a man says. As soon as a man knows that she loves him, that man can mess up or whatever as many times as he wants, and she will always forgive him. And that's where men start to expect that. And when a woman finally says she's done, that's when men are always like, I didn't see it coming, because you always forgive a man for repeated mistakes.
Okay,
And
thank
it's
you,
always
thank
the
you, thank
same
you. But let
mistake.
me ask you this question. What makes you say that? What evidence do you have of that?
I mean, if you look around in the community, you'll see it every day.
I mean, but you don't know what somebody has said to another person. You only know your relationships. What experience do you have with a woman where she has forgiven you over and over?
I mean, there's always like, I don't like talking about that stuff, but I've actually gone through some stuff, and I've made mistakes, and already forgiven. I've already been forgiven, even when I feel like I don't deserve forgiveness.
Okay. So now let's talk about, so you don't have to go into details. I understand you want to maintain some more anonymity, right? But this is
Uh-huh.
exactly what I'm talking about. You call in talking about another man when you are that man yourself, not with prison, but even right now, you said you're going through some stuff. And then you have also talked about the stuff that you have done has been so egregious that even you didn't think that you deserve forgiveness. So you are also in the same camp that you call in. So you're a fool. You a fool, according to your own definition, right or wrong.
Correct. We all make mistakes. I'm not perfect.
All right. So then why then do you call in without empathy for your brother who has done and is doing the things that you are currently doing, just in a different way?
Because some things don't, I guess some things don't deserve forgiveness or don't deserve empathy. I don't know.
Have you forgiven yourself?
Yeah, I do have to forgive myself.
I didn't
Sometimes I
ask
don't
if you
forgive
have
myself.
to. I asked if you have. Have you forgiven yourself?
Yes, I have.
You said I have to forgive myself, which means that there are things that you haven't forgiven yourself for.
Yeah.
All right. You see? So you see the importance. You know what? I'm going to create my game. I must create my game because I need you all to be out here asking the questions. I got hung up on, y'all. I don't know how that happened. Cameron, what happened? Why did I get hung up on? Was the heat in the kitchen too fiery? I got hung up on, y'all. I got hung up on. Let's get up. Let's get up and dance, y'all. Let's get up and dance. Let's dance. Let's dance, y'all, because
Snow is falling down.
oh, it's not winter. It's not winter anymore. I don't know. That's on my list, but you know, we have to. All right, listen. All right, let's see. Let's see. Let's get up on our seats, everybody.
You better turn up.
Oh, come on, get out your seat.
You better be there
Hey,
when gonna shake. Watch me rockin' if I can't stop.
Get up out your seats, everybody.
If I should fall, just go ahead. Don't catch me, baby. You better grab that tambourine. Bring the bass, we might be wicked.
I can't believe it. Hey.
We may be forced to cause a scene. Make some trouble, baby.
What's that I hear? Hey! 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 All right. Let's see. All right, so Maine sends in $5 and says, great discussion. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to open up the phone lines again. We're going to open up the phone lines again, even though I got hung up on. It's all right. It's okay. We're going to open back up the phone lines. So, let's see. Jonah, let's see if you're available. Woo! To get your take on it. He said, yup, click. All right, we're seeing if Jonah's available. We're not getting an answer over there. So the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. We're talking about the situation that we heard and observed with my interaction with the man who was convicted of a crime. So I will tell you all this. They called out a lot of people's names. I left there about 20 minutes after, I left there after 3. So the place was only going to be open for less than an hour, and he hadn't gotten his passport yet. His appointment was mysteriously canceled. He had applied for his passport a month before and tried to have it expedited. And a month later, it was not only not ready, but he was also waiting in the passport office. And so I don't know whether or not he ever got his passport. I don't know whether or not people can get their passports after conviction. I don't know. These are things that I don't know, but maybe some of you do. I'm trying to get my hair up. Okay, so let's talk. Phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. I want to hear your take and your point of view on what it is that we've talked about and covered today. We went over a lot, and so I wanted to just hear your talk. Jack says this live has been so live or so fun. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Oh, Amber
Hey, Amber, where you
from
calling from?
Oxnard, California.
From where?
California. California.
Oh, we got Amber from California on the line. Can you turn down the broadcast in the background because we hear it? There's a little delay, so you have to listen
Okay.
to me through the phone. Whew.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Amber, talk to us.
No,
What are your thoughts on everything?
go ahead. Huh?
Talk to me through the phone because there's a delay between the broadcast. So if you talk to me on the phone, you'll get the live sound. So what are your thoughts on everything that we've discussed today?
Well, I just saw what you were talking about with the guy Cameron earlier.
So you weren't here for the earlier part of the broadcast.
No.
Oh,
I know
okay.
you were
So
talking about a guy who
yeah, so
was
so
in
talk
prison.
yeah, so talk to us about what you called in to say.
Well, Cameron, to me, I see where he was coming from. He's, in certain aspects, he's right. A lot of times these women are very lenient towards their sons. And a lot of these young men learn at an early age to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't understand with the other women. Just because your mother does that doesn't mean that other women would do that. It's a
Well,
different motive with other women. A
well,
lot of young men don't know that.
well, yeah. So, but why do you think they expect that?
Because in their minds, they think all women act the same as their mom, would think the same. That's what I think.
Okay, let's dig
That's what I
deeper
believe.
than that, though. Let's dig deeper than that. Let's dig deeper than that. Why do men think that women are just going to be there for them, putting up with their bullshit, they cheating, they doing wrong, and all this other stuff? Why do they think that?
Because they're taught that. They're taught to believe women would do that.
Who are they taught
That's
by?
what all they
In
know.
what way are they taught?
By other men. Other men teach them that.
Is it other men? Let's dig deeper than that. Who is teaching them this?
I'm assuming a society is teaching them that women are weaker in the mind.
Okay,
And
so
men are the leaders, and
let's talk about
they are
society.
just.
What is it in society that may be teaching and giving this idea and this example to men?
I have no idea. It could be images. It could be um, that they see their thoughts on how they're stronger and more physical than women.
Okay. Okay. And then
Their
okay.
mind,
Mhm. Anything
their
else?
mindset of women. They don't have. They're taught really not to have respect women more because of them being more physically stronger. They're being more looked at as being leaders in
Okay.
society.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for calling in and giving your point of view, Amber. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so she brought up some good, interesting points. So I want to dig deeper. Who is ready to dig deeper with me and give the answer from their point of view about, oh, let me get the timer started up. So we're in the third segment now. So let's get the timer started back up and let's get the phone lines. They're open 323-488-3149. Why do men feel that women are going to be there? Why do they think that it's owed to them? What is it that's bringing this idea in their mind that they can go to prison, and even if they wouldn't be there for her, she's going to be there for him? That like, even if even if he wouldn't be there for her when she's sick, when he's sick, he thinks that she's gonna. I'm messing it all up. Even if he wouldn't be there for her when she's sick, in his mind, he thinks that he is owed her allegiance when he is sick, even if he would not be there and has not been there for her when she is sick. Telephone number is 323-488-3149. I want to hear your point of view. I want to hear their point of view. Bliss is saying all sides. Endlessly says the patriarchy. Fitness wants to know who is looking at them as leaders in 2025. You'd be surprised. People are still worshiping a male god. So I want to hear. Fitness thinks because of enabling pygmies. I want somebody to call in. Are we all at lunch break right now? Or are we all getting ready to go on lunch break? Are we in meetings? What's happening that the phone line is not ringing? 323-488-3149. Telephone number. So I hear a lot of different things being shouted out in the comments. Pick me's, mothers. What else? Let's talk about it. Male worship in our community, says Denise. It looks like we just missed a call, but how did we miss it? How did we miss a call? That's wild. Let me try calling back. Hello.
Hi,
Okay, you're in the ear live with Tonya TKO. What's your name and where are you calling from?
my name is Bliss, calling from North Carolina.
All right, so we have Bliss on the lines who has come from the comments to share her thoughts on the phone. So talk to us, Bliss.
So I think it kind of comes from all sides. It's from the parents, friends, men, and women. I think we've all kind of accepted this societal reality that we're supposed to help men, if they need help, that we're all supposed to come together to make sure that they are able to support the families and the world and the structures and all of those things. So a lot of people don't really combat that. They just kind of fall in line towards that.
Okay. Okay. So talk to me about what are all of these sides that it's coming from. Name some of these sides so that we can have an idea of what you're talking about.
Okay, so it can be from fathers, the societal structure in the home. So fathers are supposed to be the first teachers of the sons. So they'll teach them, you're the lead, you're the one that has to do this, you're the one that has to protect, you're the one that has to do this and this and this and this, because I do this and this and this, right? But he's not going to necessarily see a man that teaches him that. You're not going to necessarily see the stuff that he has to do in the home as far as like cooking, cleaning, like, because those things may not be part of it. He's getting taught that from his mother because the mother helps the father, and in turn, he's going to grow up to believe, well, a woman is supposed to help me as well because that's what I've been taught, family-wise. When it comes from friends, same type of thing. It's like everybody's being taught that. Everybody just kind of falls in line with it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, something more along those lines.
Okay. Well,
and then, of course, you have society as well, yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that point of view. Thank you. So mother and father set the example and society sets the parental example of mother takes care of father, so the children see that and then believe that that is the way that it's going to be in society. Is that what I'm hearing correct?
Yep, pretty much. Yep, I would say yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for calling in, Bliss. Thank you. We're going to take the
Thank
next
you.
caller. All right. So I want to hear from some other people. Why? I want to hear, first of all, we had a long discussion about this conversation that I had with an ex convict who is bitter about a woman that he only had intercourse with twice. He had intercourse with her twice over the course of 2 years. They did not have a stable or committed relationship. They didn't have that. But when he got incarcerated, he expected for her to be there for him. He's bitter that she wasn't. And he feels a little twinge of justice that the man that she did decide to be with turned out to be a physical abuser, because she should have never gotten with him. She should have just spent or rode out the 5 to 8 years that he was locked up, right? Why did he expect her to be there when I asked him whether or not I'm trying to get into the back end of my account and fix up the stream. When I asked him whether or not he would have left her, right? When I asked him whether or not he would have left her if he had found somebody that he thought was better, he said that he would have. But he couldn't because he was in jail, but wanted her allegiance. Why? And I want to hear from you. Why do you think they even have this expectation? And then I'll tell you in a little while. I'm waiting for the phone to call in. 323-488-3149. My ex-husband cheated. I learned after that his dad would bring him to his side piece's house. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That's also devastating for the children, because now they're kept in this situation where they have to keep these secrets for the father, and they're learning, all of these inappropriate things that they should not have to be contending with. You know what I mean? Janie wants to know if the former jailbird is listening now. We have no way of knowing. This is an open world where people, I was trying not to give too much details because anybody could hear this and be like, oh, this sounds familiar, but we never know. um Phone lines are open. 323-488-3149. I'll go ahead and give you all my point of view while we're waiting for the next call, right? Let me turn on the ads for the screen, the stream first. I'm turning on the monetization. Give me just one moment. I'm turning on the ads every 12 minutes, especially for a broadcast this long. That should be fine every 12 minutes. Okay. So let's talk about it. And I want you all to pay very close attention to, there's no one thing. We live in these patriarchal societies where we have been taught about male superiority, female inferiority, and there are a lot of different things that support this. The religions in which we worship teach us by example the place that women hold, the importance that they hold. You have to remember in these ancient texts that they would constantly depict women as concubines. What is a concubine? A concubine is a very pretty exotic way of saying a prisoner who is trafficked, held captive, and raped over and over and over again without any freedom or the ability to have autonomy or freedom of movement. This is a trafficked victim of rape. And they call it a cute word like concubine, as if she's some coquettish, little thing there. What about her life? What about the dreams that she had? What about what she wanted for her life? So we have a lot of different things that are enforcing and reinforcing the inferiority of women. We worship in these religions that have no female balance or counterpart, where there's no mother of this male God. There's no wife to this male God. There's no daughter to this male God, or any sisters or any women in this realm whatsoever. It's just the worship of a male and the constant written denigration of the female. We talked about the Quran the other day, where when they talk about, I forget the name of the place that heaven is supposed to be. The Quran talks about women, and excuse me, let me say this again. The Quran talks about men. When men go to heaven, they're going to get XYZ. They're going to get, if you lived your life righteously, you'll get all of these quote unquote virgins. Are these virgin spirits that are there to just serve him at his behest? Do they have no other work for their development that they need to do for their own spirit or soul? They're there at the behest of males to dedicate their lives to males unendingly. No one has called in yet, so I'm just going to turn off the phone lines and take the thing off the screen. There we go, right? Then we look around in society and we are worshiping in these male religions that are showcasing that women don't really have any wants, needs, and desires of their own. Then we're born into families where we are claiming that the father is the quote unquote head of the household. We are born into these families that then begin to reinforce for us that, especially while we're young, that we need to learn how to be a servant, because any man of the future is going to expect us to serve him. Girls are not, they did this experiment where they put little boys in dresses. They babies, like they couldn't talk, they were babies. They put baby girls in blue clothes and jumpers and rompers that the boys wear, right? So they dressed the little baby girls as boys, and they dressed the little boys as baby girls. And they did this experiment where they showed how people played and related to the babies. When it came to the little girls, they were like, "Oh, you're so cute. Here's a fluffy little teddy bear. Yay, 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 yay." When it came to the boys, they expected the boys to be strong, to be autonomous, to learn dexterity and to play with trains and have freedom of movement, right? We teach girls that their worth is in their cuteness. We teach boys that their worth is in going out there and finding, their purpose. Find your purpose. And what's been happening is that along the way, right, we teach men, we teach boys, oh, if you go out there and you find your purpose, you find out who you want to be, you make money, you create your life, you will be rewarded with a woman. We don't talk to him about personal development. And even that guy that I spoke to yesterday talked so much about his personal development, but he couldn't see. And this is the thing, just like the first caller who called in, he could not see that the same things he was mocking somebody else for, the same point of view and mentality he had. He didn't only think that his mother was going to be the all-forgiving, selfless, unconditional, loving person. He expected that of other women. And he got it, well, even when he didn't think that he deserved it. What does that do to a person? So I remember I was on a broadcast with some women, and the women were talking about all of the hoops that we need to jump through. Squeeze this here, put this there, do this way, do that in a way that they like. Suck in, tuck in, buck in, do all of this so that you could be taken out to expensive dinners. I said, why? Why? When I can dig down in my purse and pay my way, just my way, and nobody else's way. Oh, why? Why do I have to sit up there listening to some funky, farting, fugly male person that I don't want to be with for a meal. Why? When I can spend my own money, my bank account is heavy. I can spend my own money. Why do I have to be up in someone's face? Listen, if you're enjoying this broadcast, go ahead and support the broadcast. You can send through a Cash App and I will read it on the air. I have a few that have come in, so I'm going to be reading those soon, right? So we constantly are reinforcing for girls that their only worth and value is that which is assigned to them through boys and men. That if they want money, because from antiquity, once men learned that they could use their strength to overpower women, right? Because they knew that women were more cooperative, that they could overpower women. They decided to start doing things that was not in the best interest of society. In the you know what? I don't want to quote the exact year, but there was a person called Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla had all of these inventions inside of his workshop. This is the technology that was kind of brought on upon by someone who stole or bought his way into owning this name. But there was a human being by the name of Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla was on the cutting edge. I saw a documentary about where we would be had we adopted Teslas. Like Tesla had like downloads coming from divine. Where we would be as a society, we would have flying cars, we would have clean energy, we would be in a different world. But someone took Tesla out, beat him up, tried to drown him in the river, and while they were doing that, they ransacked his office, burnt his documents and all of that, right? So that he could not continue his experiments. He rebuilt another time, and they burnt down, beat up, and did it again. And then by the time he died broke and pretty much unknown. Men have constantly made decisions that have held us back as a society because they wanted to hoard resources. And one of the resources was women's wombs. We are born with inherent value because in our wombs, we are needed to incubate new life. And men, there's a deep part of them that knows this, that they, no matter how much they try to oppress, denigrate, subjugate women, that they have to go through a woman to continue their genes. So they come up with all types of ways to show that women are inferior, but the truth lay right there before us, hidden in plain sight. We have a lot of different things in our society. If you think about pornography reinforces an idea that was created before pornography, and it perpetuates, continuing the denigration of women, where women are seen to be at the beck, call, behest, and at the service of men. So much so that you don't have to ask for consent, that if she says no, you could just push past and just do it anyway. Pornography is now getting into the minds of young people. The average age, they interviewed children. The average age that children are having their first sexual experience, whether they want to or not, is happening at the hands of electronic pornography, and they are between the ages of 11 and 13 years old. They've done this survey in many different countries. 11 and 13 years old, your children are having their first sexual experience and contact through pornography. And unfortunately, when little girls see pornography, they see it and they say, oh, well, I don't know what this is and what this is about. This doesn't seem right. Little boys see pornography, however, on the other hand, and they think something different. They're taking instruction. They're learning about intercourse because you all are not getting to them first. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, or somebody who used to be a friend, but this person decided to vote for Trump, and I no longer consider this person a friend. But as I was trying to tell him that I had no interest, we got into an argument about his child who came home with sex education that he did not consent to, right? But this child has another parent, and I'm like, is it possible that the other parent consented to these lessons? Because from what it is that I know, they're not going to just take a child into the class and just force sex education onto them. But nonetheless, this is what I learned in this interaction. His child, who was 10, had gotten sex education in school, and he did not like that. So this is part of the reason that he voted for Trump, right? I asked him when he had first come into contact with pornographic material. You see, porn used to only be in magazines and in peep shows downtown. But the advent of the internet put porn electronically into anybody's hands so that now you don't have to find dirty magazines and have a little looky look. Now it's there whenever you type something in online. He did not have a conversation with his child about sex before the age of 10, but I asked him when did he first come into contact with pornographic material, and he told me by the time he was 10, he had knew what from the hitter to the splitter. He knew what it all looked like, right? Okay. But he had not had this conversation with his child. So children are curious and other children are talking to them. And listen, if you have a child that is 9 years old or older and you have not had these conversations, you have done your child a disservice. I listen and I don't judge, but I'm telling you the fucking truth. You've done your child a disservice if you've not spoken to your child about sex, because let me tell you this, if you didn't know this already, somebody's talking to your child about sex. I want you to put your child's, listen, I want you to tell me if you have a child that is 9 and above, put up a 1 if you have spoken to your child about sex, had a frank conversation with your child about sex, about consent, about sexuality, about what no means, about when to stop, about how you know when somebody wants something, about honoring and respecting their body, about not letting things happen to them that they don't want. Put up a 1. If you have not had this conversation, put up a 0. Be honest. Be honest. Listen, you can lie to me, but you can't lie to yourself. So go ahead. If you have the bravery, go ahead and put up a 1 or 0. I want to see whether or not you all are doing what needs to be done out there, because we're not in the world that existed eons ago. Okay. All right. So Andrea, Jazzy, MN, L, okay, Softer, Kia. Okay, so people have spoken to their children about sex. Okay, good, good. Because it is out there and it is among us. And what's happening is, right, I'm a woman of moral and class, but what about these young girls who on OF at the age of 18 and 19? It went by too fast. I think that's the real problem. If you think that a girl at the age of 18 or 19 is selling herself in a society where there are more than enough buyers and you think she's the problem, then you yourself, you've missed the mark. You've missed the mark. ATK, halfway, at this point, you need to go all the way and talk to your child about everything. When my niece was 3, I explained about penis, vagina, sperm, egg, and babies. At the age of 3, I drew a diagram of what the sperm looked like, the egg, the vagina, where it go, all of that, because you got to get to them with the educated conversation before they go out there in the streets and they start learning from people who don't know what the F they're talking about. So NE is saying 0, freshly 9-year-old girl. I don't know how to broach the topic. I just discussed periods with her in a very kid-friendly way. Listen, if you don't know, Google. Talk to ChatGPT. ChatGPT will give you some excellent advice, right? But the conversation needs to be had because there's going to be other girls that are going to have conversations with her. There's going to be boys that are having conversations with them. So listen, so what is happening is little boys don't know what sex is supposed to be like. And then they come into contact with pornography that is showing girls and women in a subjugated way and manner. That is showing that you could just push past their defenses. That if you just start doing it with them, they're going to like it. They don't understand. Like in some countries, showing a woman's orgasm is now outlawed. They tried to put laws banning porn, and they banned the showing of women's orgasms. Like these laws are not lawing in the way that they're supposed to law. So pornography is perpetuating the subjugation of women. Pornhub and the major porn sites. Listen, there are 8 billion people on the planet. Pornhub said that it got 6 billion hits per month. And I believe it was 2018, 6 billion hits per month. Per month. Not the year so that one person came into contact with it once a year. 6 billion per month. Okay? There's only 8 billion people on the planet, and in the Middle East, some of these websites cannot be accessed because it is against the law. You'll lose your life if you try to look at porn in some of these countries. Kuwait was one of them. When I was in Kuwait, you could not see porn, right? So let me just explain to you how we've gotten to where it is that we've gotten. Little boys see porn and they think that this is instruction. Even though it's not meant to be tutorial, there's no counterbalance of what healthy sex looks like. All we have are these degenerates creating porn that is showing unhealthy sexual relationships because there is no push to show what healthy sex looks like, and what the healthy sex is held behind firewalls. There are some countries that have tried to show tutorial sex, but it's held behind paywalls that people don't really have access to. But what they do have access to is the pirated, dangerous stuff that is showing non-consensual contact, non-pleasurable contact for girls, right? And so this is where we are. We're in a society where the subordination of women is taught from religion to families, to pornography, to the laws that are created, and also the ways that we are being raised. That we are raised to tell girls how cute and pretty they are instead of how smart and capable they are. And I know, because you all are knockouts, that some of you do talk to your daughters about how capable they are. But far too many people are putting a broom in their child's hand, their daughter's hand, and telling them that service, being a servant, is their highest goal in life. And they are rebelling against that. So one of the things that happened is, somebody said Florida banned Pornhub. People, all they have to do is get a VPN and they can get around that. So one of the things that happened is, and you know what, since I've gotten into school, I've been doing a lot of reading, but my reading is still elementary. And I decided to talk about this now, the stuff that I've been learning, because some of you may not have been hearing any of this. If this is some of the first time that you've come across some of this information, put up a 3. I want to hear, just put up a 3 so that I can see if this is something that's new for you, because a lot of this information has been new for me, and I'm deciding to disseminate it because it is something that that's just recently come into my own purview. All right. So the men are taught that if you are a good boy, you follow the rules, You go out there and you make some money, that you're going to get girls, that the girls are going to like you, the girls are going to want you. And they're looking on Pornhub and they're finding and they're seeing or they're looking at these porn sites, not just Pornhub, because there's X Video, there's X Hamster, I believe it is, or something like that. And there's a bunch of different sites out there that people are getting free pirated porn on, right? Okay, so I see the first 3 has come in. Thank you, Shay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And so what ends up happening is they grow up, they've played by all the rules, and now they're waiting for this flood of girls to come their way. They're looking on Instagram and they're seeing all of this made up beauty. And they did a survey of men, this was in the 1990s, about how they feel about their partner, how they feel about how pretty their partner is, right? Okay, so the numbers are starting to come in. There's a little bit of a delay. Only 2 people. This is the first time you're coming across this information. Only 2 people. Shay and exclusively elusive. I highly doubt that. But if nobody else is voting, listen, come on and vote. Vote. I want to see the votes. There's 250 people here on YouTube. There's 18 people on Facebook. And let me see if my Twitchy is there. My Twitchy is still there. Hey, Twitchy. Right? So these boys get promised a family, a woman who is going to be at their beck and call and be their servant. And then now they're growing up and this isn't happening. Or the women are coming and they're like, I could have a better deal on my own. That's it. I don't need to be in this situation. And they're leaving. Okay, R. Lewis, Bronx Bayou, Andrea, some is new. Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, some of it is going to be new for some people. Not all may be new. Some of this is new for me, and some of it is deeper and more fleshed out, right? Nefertari's talking about, what's the question? LOL, get out of here. All right. And then so they feel that they're promised a woman, and when the woman doesn't come, now they're bitter. They're angry because they followed all the rules that they thought were going to be in life. There's 2 different issues. There's the hero's journey. I've learned recently that a lot of men have this dream and this fantasy of dying in a blaze of glory. I don't know what the fuck. How many men do we have on this broadcast? I need to understand, why are men fantasizing about dying in a blaze of glory? That they come and they save the day, and amongst a big explosion, they lose their life. Or riddled with bullets, they get shot down as they're saving the day. Like, they have these fantasies. If you're a man and you've had this fantasy, put up a 4. I want to see where we're at right now. I want to see where we're at. I don't know how many men are on the broadcast, because, you know, most of my viewers are women, right? Nefertari is multitasking. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So somebody's talking about receiving and giving information. I don't know I guess there's some side conversations going on. All right, so they have these dreams about having this big heroic moment. These fantasies, Johanna, it's the right of manhood, some are saying. Daria is saying, what? Yeah, I just recently learned that a lot, and you know what the crazy part about it is, I just finished taking this symbols class, a psychological symbols class, right? And it was talking about dreaming of dying, and I dismissed it because I was like, that doesn't even make any sense. I was like, it doesn't make any sense. But then I heard a man in a video talking about how he's talked to many men, and he just thought that this was just a way of being. He's like, women don't have these fantasies. And I was like, fuck no, what the fuck? With the fantasy of going out in a blaze of fucking glory? No, the fuck? No. No. And he's like, why don't women have these fantasies? I don't know. But as a woman, I have never had a fantasy that I was going to get blown to bits saving the damn day. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But a lot of men have these fantasies. And some of them become 40, 50 years old, and the opportunity to save the day and die in a blaze of glory has never happened to them. They never save the princess from the castle and get all her princess coochie, her congratulations coochie, right? They never get that. And then they start feeling bitter about life, about how they were robbed, about the life that they were promised. Wait, some Darius screaming? What the hell is wrong with you insensitive people? You supposed to, why are you not sensitive to this dying in a blaze of glory? Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. I mean, Breaking Bad was a good series for what it was back then. Nicole is saying, definitely not going out, but I've had fantasies of how to survive being shot at or a fight since I was a kid. What the, Nicole? Were you raised on the South Side or something? What is going on? What is going on? All right, so let's get up and do. As a guy and man, I don't, but my straight friends do. Oh, as a gay man, okay, really? Listen. I don't know. I had not known that this was a thing until this man said it. And like I said, I read it in the Symbols book. It's time for us to dance. Listen, if you dance with me for all of the dance breaks, we got in 17 minutes of dancing. So now all we got to do is just 5 more minutes of exercise for the day, and we would have reached our 25 minutes. So I'm telling you, when I do the dance breaks, please get up. It's not about, because you all can see with my health issues and stuff, I've put on a little bit of weight, right? I got some extra fat on my body, but the movement breaks are not about our bodies looking a particular way. It's about the inside. It's about getting that heart beating. It's about movement. It's about keeping that spine moving, about keeping those knees moving and the ankles. Dance is a wonderful, happy way to keep movement going in the body, to get that heart rate up. So it's not about looking a particular way. I do hope that once I get through these health issues, that I'll be able to work out like I was working out before and get back into better shape. I'm doing the very best that I can for where it is that I am right now. And I'm loving myself in these moments by doing the little bit that I can do. And what I can do is I can dance. Okay? So let's get up and do a little something. Let's see what we have that we can. All right, get up out your seat. All right, come on. Listen, we're gonna do some Los Angeles music. Come on.
Seguido me verán por LA y navegar con un perfil bajo de andar. Traigo patas verdes buenamente siempre al frente y bien pendiente listos para accionar. No soy de problemas, pero si buscas encuentras la pacada nunca de faltar. Y bien blancos son en la cura 905 les de arremangar. Ey, siempre con mi Dios y mis sanjuditas a la orden del viejón. Y con mi compita que no falte mi amor. Ella es muy bonita, sabe que la cuido yo. Porque la prende la puma, la pasa la para elevarnos un rato. Nos vamos de antro, muy destapando, siempre enfiestado, pacas tronando y en arrancones me ven zumbando. Muy destapando, siempre enfiestado, pacas tronando y en arrancones me ven zumbando. Siga la fiesta. A los 20 años ya coronamos y desde abajo empecé a triunfar. Porque flacoso, bien belicoso y oloroso, vuelo a Versace. No soy de problemas, pero si buscas la encuentras, la pacada nunca de faltar. Y bien flacos son en el Acura 905, le de arremangar. Ey, siempre con mi Dios y mis sacuditas a la orden del viejón. Y con mi damita que no falte mi amor. Ella es muy bonita, sabe que la cuido yo. Porca la prende, la fuma, la pasa, la para elevarnos un rato. Nos vamos de antro, Moe destapando, siempre empiestados, pacas tronando y en arrancones me ven zumbando, Moe destapando, siempre empiestados, pacas tronando y en arrancones me ven zumbando, me ven zumbando.
Let me see. Woo. So if you dance to that, you got 3 minutes of workout in. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. So now I'm up to 20 minutes for the day. Now I only have 5 minutes left to go to get my 25 minutes. All right, let's check our apples and see what we have. Terry sent through $10 and says, thanks for your brilliance. I appreciate that. Let me send you some hearts. And Adrian sent through $5 and says, for quality content as always. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gracious goodness. All right. Yes. So, we've gotten to the time of the broadcast where we need to do our self-love lesson. Exclusively is saying azúcar. How funny, how cute. All right, so let's do our self-love lesson. All right, so the self-love lesson just needs to be stated from the I, me standpoint. There's 3 ways to construct the self-love lesson. Stated from the I, me, and you talk about what it is that you've learned from today's broadcast, and you just state it from the positive affirmative. That's it. So we don't use words like not, don't, never, or anything like that. We do the positive affirmative. So for me, I have to think about what my self-love lesson is from today's broadcast because we discussed a lot. We talked about a man who thought that he was owed the loyalty of a woman that he didn't commit to before he went in, right? Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a fun song. Listen, that was a fun song. So, what's going to be our self-love lesson for today's broadcast? We talked about the man who thought he was owed the loyalty. We had a male call in who couldn't see that he was perpetuating that which he was criticizing. And we had several people who called in who gave their part on how we got to where it is that we are now, right, as a society. And then I dropped some lessons about how we evolved to be where it is that we are right now. Oh, I can't wait to go drink. I have some passion fruit puree that came straight from the Caribbean, and I made me a drink out of it, and I need to go and oh my goodness, I have so much gratitude for you all. So let's see, type SLL and let's talk about our self-love lesson because we're going to be getting out of here because we've been on for more than 2 hours. So this was a long broadcast. I don't know where the time be going. I didn't think it was going to be. The puppy came and danced with Shantea. That's so cute. Always have high standards and put myself first. I am enough. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. Denise says, oh, okay, that was Denise's. So come on, type SLL. I need to see some more self-love lessons. We have over 300 people on this broadcast. So let's see what the self-love lesson is. So come forward, type SLL, and then type your... I'm gonna dance by myself like nobody. Love myself first. So Jazzy, let's talk from the I, me standpoint. Love myself first. So that's your self-love lesson. Exclusively says, learn to ask questions. I love that. All right. Yeah, see? Don't care if your rhythm is off. Dance like nobody's watching. Hey, Emerald is on number 1, so they're a little bit behind in the broadcast. They probably started from the beginning, and so they don't know that we're at the end now. All right, come on, type SLL. Let's see your self-love lesson. All right, so let me see. SLL, teach our daughters that they are a whole person by themselves. Okay. So are you wanting to say that you are whole, that I'm a whole person, and I show my wholeness by example? I teach this wholeness to others. I like that. All right. All right, SLL is realizing I am old. There's the word nothing in there. So let's talk about what it is that we do want. I owe myself everything and every freedom to achieve it. I love that. I owe myself everything. I'm always asking the questions to, all right, give myself grace. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Denise. All right, so let me think about what my self-love lesson is from all of this. All right, what is my self-love lesson? Let's see. Surround myself with other women that feed my spirit, mind, and soul. Fostering my friendships is a priority for me. I love that. I will be in tune with my intuition and always hold myself accountable. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to think of my self-love lesson from what it is that I know. One of my self-love lessons is about sharing my contact information with those I want to be in contact with. That's one. But that's from the last broadcast. My self-love lesson from this broadcast is about... My self-love lesson from today's broadcast is about teaching and continuing to learn so that I can teach. That is my self-love lesson for myself, that I am worth my own investment, that I invest in myself, and I teach others what I've learned for the betterment of all of us. Yes, that's my self-love lesson. I teach others what I know for the betterment of all of us. So that's my self-love lesson. Okay, I deserve everything. I see something, the word taken. So let's see, do you deserve everything that has been given to you? Let's take the word taken out and see how we can put this into what it is that we want instead of what we don't want. Because we don't want stuff taken from us and we don't want to concentrate and be in that energy. So let's talk about what we do want, okay? Be a good influence on myself and daughter. We deserve a healthy, fruitful life. Oh, listen, when I get the new app, I'm going to be giving out apples for the best self-love lessons, and I would give you an apple for that because Chef Kiss, that is stated perfectly. Be a good influence on myself and daughter. We deserve a healthy, fruitful life. Beautiful. I am in tune with my intuition and hold myself accountable. Okay. I will make asking questions my path to new growth. I love that. finding out what is important for my awareness. Teach my little girl to dream and prioritize themselves. But what is the self-love lesson for yourself? In what way have you learned to love yourself more? What is it that has changed about you from this broadcast? What new perspective? You know what I'm saying? I know my new perspective is about remaining on the path of learning, because there are several books that I'm reading. Sometimes it's very difficult to read and take notes in all the books, but I did a good job, because right now I'm reading about pornography and what it has done to us as a society. And I was able to remember some stats and data that I'm currently reading right now, as well as share it with you, like giving the information that I have. So my self-love lesson is really about creating more knowledge in my vessel to share that out for the betterment of all of us. So I love that. I love that. So listen, on that note, I'm gonna get out of here, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself is participating in broadcasts that support you. Like this one. Like, I feel like this was a really supportive broadcast that helps us see a situation, see how we can ask questions in that situation and interpret the information, and use that to go forward for the betterment of our own lives, to navigate. Because if we're not asking the right questions, we don't know which direction to navigate in. You know what I'm saying? So on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Yay, thank you for throwing up the boxing gloves. Throw up those boxing gloves, and I will see you in the next video, you all.
झूम 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 झूम